Hey everybody, it's Peter Fetchinelli, and I am the man of the hour.
Today is a great day, my friends. Peter Facinelli is joining us, or if I would refer to him as Carlisle Cullen from Twilight. We know him, we love him, we've been watching him for years now. Peter, it's good to have you on the podcast, buddy.
Thanks for having me, man.
How has everything been? Someone's been busy, actually, I gotta say. So you've lost 30 pounds while we've been in quarantine. We've been in quarantine now for about a year, but you've lost 30 pounds. You've been in your underwear on social media, and ultimately someone launched a new film. So you've been busy in the last year.
I thank you for saying that because I feel like, you feel like you get nothing done, and then you list the things I've done. I'm like, okay, I've done a lot, but I haven't done piano lessons. I haven't been playing my guitar, and there's a ton of things that I haven't done that I would love to have done that I have on my to-do list. So I guess it's good. I guess we're still in quarantine, so I can come out, playing like Jimi Hendrix.
Smarter and harder. That's how we all need to come out of the quarantine, man. Wait, so walk us back a little bit. I mean, you still want to play some of these musical instruments, but ultimately you've accomplished a lot. But how did you kind of get things going in 2020? Where I feel like most of us were in a rut back in March, to be honest, and I think we still are in one. But when you thought what you were going to accomplish in the last year, I mean, look, it came out to doing a prostate awareness campaign, working out all the time. I mean, I'm with you, dude. I work out every day, if not 6 or 7 days a week. So, where did all that start for you?
Well, I'm always like, I don't have time for this, and I wish I had more time for that. And then all of a sudden I got slapped with plenty of time because literally all of Hollywood got shut down and there was nothing going on. So, and then you read things like Shakespeare, wrote King Lear when he was in quarantine, and you're like, geez, that's a lot of pressure. I should be doing things. And then you end up going, I'm going to write that screenplay, or I'm going to get this done. And then a week goes by, 2 weeks go by. And so I think the first 2 months I was just kind of stunned into like, I haven't done anything.
Yeah.
And I need to like get stuff done. So first off on my agenda was just focusing on my health, and I went in, I couldn't go out. So I went in and I would meditate more. And, I ended up exercising a lot more and ended up losing 30 pounds. I don't think it was a goal to lose 30 pounds. It was just like, I'm going to get in shape and I'm going to eat better and I'm going to, focus on my health. And then as I was doing that, the byproduct was I lost 30 pounds and I felt great, And then as far as work wise, I optioned this book called The Unbreakable Boy. Mm-hmm. And I was just really fortunate to team up with this company called Kingdom, and Kingdom really liked the piece, and we had a script done. We partnered up with Lionsgate, and it was one of the quickest turnarounds I've ever had on a film, where I optioned the book, and then in March of last year or April, I ended up meeting Kingdom and doing a deal with them, and then by November we were on set filming. So that was the one good thing that came out of COVID was, that project got greenlit, and I was really proud of that. And then as far as The Vanished coming out, the movie I wrote and directed, it was a good time for that movie to come out because a lot of people were at home so it got some good eyes on it. I mean, we came in top 10 when the movie was premiered. Came in, I think, second or third for the weekend. And then we came in top 10 for DVD sales. And then this past 2 weeks, we've been top 10 on Netflix. It just came out on Netflix. So I'm really proud of that film, and I'm glad it's doing well.
Bada boom, bada bing. Wait, and that's the thing. You mentioned a lot of work projects. That's what took over. So that essentially at some point you have to ask yourself, like, wait, what was I doing for me? I want to talk about the idea of meditation for a second. Yeah. How did you get started with meditating? I still have yet to figure out the trick, man.
Well, I think meditation is a lot of things for a lot of different people. Like some people praying is meditation, and some people, sitting outside being still is meditation. For me, meditation is different all the time, because sometimes I'll use music to meditate. Sometimes I won't. Sometimes I'll listen to a guided meditation. Sometimes I won't. I'm also, I got into hypnosis a lot over the quarantine. Because I'm fascinated by the mind, and I'm fascinated by the subconscious mind, and so I did a lot of looking up on stuff on the mind, and I ended up doing a course on hypnosis, and I got certified in hypnosis. So I could actually perform hypnosis on people for money if I wanted to, but
Wait, could you
I
do it
won't.
right now for free?
I
At
mean,
least, okay, if you can't do it right now, how would you do it? Like the first couple steps, I'm curious.
well, hypnosis is really, there's a first, what you have to do is you test people, right, to see how their mind works,
Yeah.
and and then based on that, you can use different kind of tools to get inside. It's like, think of it this way: your conscious mind is like a bouncer at a door, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the conscious mind is like always saying, this isn't working, you can't, you know, this isn't going to work, and it justifies and rationalizes. And so with hypnosis, you're kind of bypassing, distracting that bouncer, and then you're going around the back door of that bouncer, and as he's distracted, you're giving suggestions, and those suggestions then sit with your subconscious, and your subconscious is like the program that runs everything, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So even when you think consciously certain things, your subconscious might be telling you and running a different program, you know? So what you really want to do is get to the subconscious mind. There's a couple of things I could do really fast with you.
Wait, don't knock me out. We got to finish the hour
No,
podcast.
I mean, yeah, maybe at the end we'll do a little something. I could do like a 2-minute little thing, not knock you out, but it's
Yeah.
more like a guided little thing.
Wait, that's great.
It might be fun for your audience to actually do it with you. So maybe at the end we'll do that. You tell me when is a good time.
Let's do it. Wait, we'll keep that at the end. Anybody listening, stay tuned for the very end of this thing, and we'll totally, we won't have Peter knock us out, but we'll have him tap into our subconscious. How freaking cool. Well, so that's like one skill of like many things that you were doing over 2020. I can't help but talk to a lot of people nowadays, and everybody's saying, 2020 just felt like it didn't exist, or 2020 was the longest year of my life because of how many things happened. You look at all the pandemics we had, people are starting to call them panoramics now because you just need another word to use to describe all the shit that happened, Peter. But listen, let's start with fitness real quick. I've always been an advocate for looking good and feeling good. And at some point you said, you were probably telling yourself this too. I don't know what the goal is to lose all this weight. I just want to look good. Was there ever a point you told yourself in quarantine, I want to look good to feel good, maybe? Or because I mean, you just said it, you feel good now.
I think it was opposite. I think it was, for me, it was I want to feel good, because when you feel good, then I think you look good. I think that there was an interesting question I had in an interview the other day. They said, "What do you wear to if you want to dress to impress?" And I said, "I don't ever dress to impress. I just dress to feel good.
Nice.
And if I feel good, and that builds your confidence. And if you're confident and you feel good, that would impress somebody just by the byproduct of that. Not that you're actually going for that,
Yeah.
So whenever you're trying to impress somebody and you're coming from a place of, oh, the other person might think I look good in this suit, or the other person might think I look good in this, it's disingenuous. And it's hard to, I mean, who's to say what that person's going to think of you? You might be far off. They might hate that colored suit that you're wearing. So you can never, ever please anybody else to impress them. What you need to do is feel good about yourself. And then the byproduct of that is maybe they're impressed by your confidence, by the, you dressing to be you,
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with me. I mean, I didn't feel overweight. I just felt sluggish.
Sure.
And I felt like I wasn't eating well. Like, I mean, I wasn't eating consciously. I'll say that. Like, when I was directing The Vanished, it was whatever I could get my hands on to keep going through the day. So I was living off of like M&Ms and like cans of soda and coffee and like whatever I could get, a snack to like boost my sugar so I could get through the day. And it's not, it catches up to you and you start feeling sluggish and tired, and it's not the best way to eat. And when you start when you have time, which I had, then I could start eating consciously. And now I eat consciously. I try to eat every few hours, because if I don't eat every few hours, that's when you want to snack on something bad. You get sugar crashes, you get cranky. I used to get hangry a lot.
Oh, I knew you were gonna say the same.
Yeah, like if I just my fiance would be like, "Did you eat?" I'm like, "No." It's because your sugar level drops and then you get moody. But if you're kind of feeding yourself every 2-3 hours, and not junk, like even if it's some nuts or I just had a protein bar, good stuff. Just your body's a machine and you got to kind of keep it going. And like,
Mm.
I also used to think, well, if I want to lose weight, just don't eat as much, which is, there's something to be
Portions
said
have
about a
something.
calorie deficit, but you want to eat throughout the day. Otherwise your metabolism is all off. So like if you're just starving yourself, which in the beginning I'd be like, I didn't know how to lose weight or how to feel good. So I'd be like, well, I won't eat till noon. And then, I won't eat till like 2. And, but then I wasn't losing weight. I wasn't feeling good. And I started feeling better when I was actually eating more smaller little meals through the day. And your metabolism's just like on, it's just on autopilot, just going and going and going. It keeps you going all day.
Because you have to give your time, you have to give your body time to digest all of the food as well, and then at some point you start realizing the more you intake it, smaller portions, it kind of helps you as well. Have you ever had those peanut butter balls that are like wrapped in chia seeds, and it's called an energy ball bite or
I never
something?
had that. I'll try that. I
They have
love
them
peanut butter though. I have peanut butter as a snack all the time. Peanut butter and
right.
apples or almond butter and apples. Like that's my go-to snack. Because it has protein and it tastes good, And
It's so good.
but it's so funny because in LA, especially, but carbs have such a bad rap, like don't eat carbs because carbs will get you fat. So
Yeah.
like you see people that are just eating like protein all the time, or just
Or going to creation for
they
a
won't touch
juice.
anything that's carbs, whether it's brown rice or quinoa, nothing, because they're just afraid of it, But actually, carbs give you energy, and carbs are good for you if it's the right carbs, and you need it, And it helps. What it does is it fills your stomach up so that you're not hungry. Because what happens is if you don't eat the carbs that's giving you the fuel, then you feel sluggish, and then you start craving sugar. So if you do have the carbs, it's better than all of a sudden getting so hungry later that you're snacking and then you binge eat some sugar because you're just like so hungry. And that's what I found. Like I don't even crave sugars. The other day I had ice cream and it was my favorite ice cream out. Like I opened the freezer, I was like, oh, and I didn't eat it because I just wasn't hungry for it,
Yeah.
Where I used to eat like a tub of that ice cream in a sitting. I was just like,
Well,
have
what's the
movie
ice
night.
cream?
It's from Salt and Straw. It's like a fudge. It's like a caramel salted fudge ice cream. It's good,
I
but
feel like
like,
it's always got fudge in it,
yeah,
right?
yeah. But
Well,
now, like,
yeah,
I could have peanut butter and apples, and I'm just like, that's a great snack, and it tastes good.
because it gives you energy.
Yeah.
Folks, you hear that? That's how we lost 30 freaking pounds. It's portions and food. I feel like that's a lot
Yeah.
of it. How many times have we all worked out or been in a place where it's like, I want to lose this weight and like sweat out all my body fat. But then your trainer or someone that you know that lost a lot of weight is always telling you, yeah, so it actually, it starts in the kitchen.
It
And
is definitely diet is about, I would say 80% of it. I mean, the
yeah.
running joke for me is people are like, how'd you lose 30 pounds? And I say, there's a little hole under your nose that I just put less food in it.
Oh my gosh, man, you're from New York.
Yeah. I grew up in Queens.
Isn't that
Do you,
crazy? The
do you live in New
world's so
York
small.
now?
I'm in New York now, man. I've been here 2.5
Oh man,
years.
it's snowing out today, right?
Okay, wait, can we talk about it? It's a
Yeah, my dad
snowpocalypse.
sent me like pictures. He's 80 years old and he's out with a shovel. It's like he loves it, by the way. He
That's
loves
how,
when it snows.
oh man, that's how he'll lose his 30 pounds, right?
Yeah.
It's snowing a lot.
Yeah.
It's interesting because they call it nor'easters a lot of times, but then you give New York 2 days, and if it gets past 4 or 5 inches, everything shuts down. The MTA subway lines had just shut down. I think a lot of coffee shops are closed today. A lot of restaurants are already closed, but most closed down as well. You're lucky because you're in LA now.
I actually miss those days because I grew up with snow days where, when I grew up and there was a snow day, you used to get up early and listen to like the AM radio and
Waiting.
maybe your school would be closed and you'd wait and, you'd wait there and you go, yeah, my school's closed. And then you'd have the day off and you go, throw snowballs at your friends and play in the snow. Funny snow though in New York, because it turns out like it's so beautiful at first and it comes down and it blankets everything. And then all of a sudden it like a day later, it turns into black sludge.
Yeah.
Or snow just turns into like sludgy black snow in the streets of Manhattan.
It starts looking like that Coca-Cola slushy shit that you used to
Yeah.
get out of the gas stations, right? On the
Yeah.
sledge. Does this make you have any more nostalgia? I got a text from 692 New York City public school buildings closed on 2/1 and 2/2. All students will learn remotely. All meal
Yeah.
hubs will be closed.
You know, a lot of kids are going yay to right now because of the school closings. Although
Wait,
I'm
so what?
surprised they're still
Yeah.
open with COVID. My kids are still in remote school.
I think it
So
depends on where
bizarre.
you are. I know LA was at some point feeling like they had more cases, and then it did end up having more cases than New York. I
Yeah.
think it was more contained here, but yeah, students are kind of on a hybrid, is the word I've been hearing back and forth, back and forth. So
Although
wait,
with all the time the kids spent at home, I don't know if they're saying yay that they get to spend another day at home.
no, hell
Maybe.
no, they
I
don't
don't
want to
know.
be with their parents. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, mom, you got to show me, you're gonna force me to actually pay attention to this Zoom call with all my teachers and 50 students. I don't want that shit. Peter, so wait, you some of your first jobs in New York when you were growing up in Queens
Yeah.
were delivering newspapers, same as I, right? We'll talk about that. And then working as a supermarket clerk, or are you working in the supermarket of some kind as a teen?
Mm.
And so when you look back to those days, and now you get to say acting is the job and what's paying the bills, and obviously you've done way more outside of just reading scripts and acting on screen. You've done the screenplay, you've directed the screenplay. But take us back to New York times when you were in Queens. I could only see Peter over here tossing newspapers out and handing people smoothies at the bodega or wherever at the supermarket. What was that like?
Well, my first job was delivering newspapers. I was 12. So I got to work young and early, which I think is a good thing. You know, I mean, I learned right off the bat if I wanted something, you know, I had to pay for it. So I was able to like go to the movies when I wanted to, and I had money for stuff that I wanted, you know.
Hmm.
But it was a tough job. I had 100 papers that I would have to deliver in the mornings. So that it was like several blocks and I had a bicycle with two crates on it. Um, on Saturdays, I would put the comics with the, you know, newspaper, and they were so heavy that I remember coming down this hill one day and the bike just tipped forward because of the weight of the papers. And I just think, speaking of snow, I literally fell on the bike. The bike crushed my leg, and I just laid there, and it was snowing.
Yeah.
And I just laid there in the snow, and I was like hurt, and I couldn't get up, and there was nobody around because it was 6 o'clock in the morning. And then finally, after like 15 minutes, I just got up and like brushed it off and kept going. But uh, but I still remember that day because the papers were so heavy on Saturdays. And there was one house that was all the way up on this hill, and it was the only house up that hill. And I was like, I wish that they would stop getting the papers because they were so out of the way to like take this heavy bike up
Yeah.
that hill. But you know, it was good training. It was definitely like, you know, gives you a work ethic. You know,
Hmm.
you have a job to do, you show up for it. It gives you a lot of responsibility. And then when I was 15, I started working at a grocery store, and same thing. You know, I had a job. I had to clock in. After school, I would clock in, and I worked till 9 o'clock, and then I'd come home and do my homework,
Hmm.
and do that 5 days a week. I was part time, but I worked, you know, a good amount for 4 hours, 4 or 5 hours a day
Yeah.
during the week, and then weekends, you know, like 12 hours. So it was probably like 24 to 30 hours a week, um, and going to school. But you know, it was interesting. It was like for me, I remember I worked in the soup aisle and the pickle aisle, and I actually named my production company Aisle 7 because that was the aisle that I worked in when I worked at the supermarket. It just reminds me to like, you know, of that work ethic, to like keep working hard, because at the end of the night, I would always make sure that both sides of the aisles just look like a wall. You know how they dummy up all the cans so
Oh
that
yeah.
you know. And I was such a perfectionist that I couldn't leave with like one can out of place. I'd have to like have all the cans kind of like, so when you look down it just looked like everything was stocked to the max.
Yeah.
Um, and that was like, and if some lady came by and was like, grab 3 cans of soup, I'd be so upset with her because I'd be like, no, you're messing up my wall, you know. So it's funny.
Don't give us as much money as you want. Just buy one. I want to keep it looking good.
Yeah.
But you were a perfectionist. Do you think you still are a perfectionist to this day? And how does that play into everything you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, I'm my harshest critic for sure.
Hmm.
I mean, there's nobody harder on me than me, which could be a good thing and also could be a bad thing. Sometimes, like you said, like you named a bunch of things that I had done. When I was in my mind, I'm thinking all the things I haven't done that I wish that I did do, and I'm like, man, I wasted that whole year. I mean, I wanted to take Italian lessons, Spanish lessons. I wanted to do guitar. I wanted
Let me stop you there, Peter. You
piano.
did plenty. You did plenty
Yeah,
to not only help people, which we'll get to. I want to talk about the prostate cancer awareness campaign, but dude, cut yourself some slack. Come
thank
on, Mr.
you.
Hollywood. You should know that by now. It's time to give yourself a little pat on the back.
Sometimes I stop, but I think that's what keeps you driving forward all the
Oh
time.
yeah. Yeah, and then even more on perfectionism, I think that's where you then begin to realize, like year by year, as you're accomplishing milestones, influencing people, making your family proud, you have to look in the mirror at the end of the day and tell yourself, well, what does Peter Facinelli want?
Mhm.
So why do you think you're so hard on yourself?
Yeah, man, I don't know. I feel like sometimes there's so much I want to do and so much I want to accomplish and so many stories I want to tell.
Hmm.
And then there's only so much time to do it in. Especially when you're working on a film, when I'm directing,
Yeah.
it's all about you got 12 hours of sunlight, if that, and you have to get all your shots in, and every minute counts, because if you stop and have a 5-minute conversation here, or 10-minute conversation there, 20-minute conversation there, and lunch gets delayed and people are coming back 15 minutes late, like all those little minutes add up, and then all of a sudden you've wasted 2 hours, 3 hours of your day, and those are 2 or 3 hours that you could have been utilizing to get more footage, more stuff. So I guess like that pressure just carries over into life, where it's like, man, you wake up and you're like, I got so much time during this day,
Yep.
and what can I do with it?
Hmm.
I could sit on my phone and get lost in Instagram for 3 hours
We don't want
sometimes,
that.
and I don't want to do that. Or I could, pick up the guitar, play that a little bit, maybe work on a script, maybe go to the gym, or work out there.
Yeah.
So you're just constantly trying to figure out things that I could fill my day with that makes you feel good at the end of the day, like you've
Yeah.
grown. It's interesting because for me, I, there are people that are just that like stuff, like
Hmm.
I've never been into a lot of stuff. I like things, but like I like experiences way
Yeah.
more, you
Same.
know. So if I have an experience, it's worth all the money to me to go have a great experience. I'd rather spend $5,000 on a weekend where I have this incredible experience than $5,000 on a couch, you know.
Right.
And some will say, well, that couch you'll have for a while, and that's an experience of sitting on it. But it's like, I just
What does
like,
that mean? Yeah. Yeah.
does that couch make me grow in any way? Like I could be sitting on a $1,000 couch. I could be sitting on
Yeah.
a $200 couch. I don't really care about the couch. I care about like growing and experiencing. And, you have one life, and what can I cram into this lifetime where I can grow and experience and see things uh, and learn.
Mm. Where do you think that picked up for you? Was there any particular moment where you had to like define? I'm 24. I never disclose that to people on the show, so I'm telling you, I'm 24 years old, and I've gotten to a point in my life where I'm like, well, I live by the motto that you only live once, but if you do it right, once is enough. Right? That's a very
Yeah.
popular one. But then the second one is that at some point you have to realize simplicity is how you're going to win. Simplicity is this ultimate sign of sophistication and success and blah, 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 blah. But I always look at myself and I'm like, you know what? At some point you got to realize, yeah, you're right. The experiences matter more than the Gucci belt or than the couch and all that. But for you, when was it in your life that you realized being more fascinated and investing into experiences mattered more than things and stuff?
I think I've always been that way. If anything I've learned over the years, it's really, as much as I do love experiences and love all of that, uh, it's really about finding a balance of going out and doing 1,000 things during the day. And
Yeah.
but you also want to have the balance of just being too. And that's what I found that I was lacking, what I found in quarantine, because I was on this hamster wheel of just doing, and going. And I remember when I was shooting Twilight, I was shooting Twilight and Nurse Jackie at the same time, and one shot on one coast, the other one shot on the other coast. And I was going back and forth every 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
And then I would dip into LA, see my family, and then I would go to, Canada, and then I would go to New York.
Yeah.
And I thrived on that. I felt like I lived on airplanes, and it was like always on the go, and it was exciting to me. So so being busy has always been really exciting, and I feel alive,
Sure.
And so when COVID hit and we had everything shut down, the hamster wheel was broken, and there was nowhere to go.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden I was faced with like, I can't escape and have these experiences. And so there was a little bit of being depressed and sad and feeling like, okay, well, where do you derive your happiness from? Okay, it could be from things, or for me, it was for experiences, or traveling, or creating. But there's also happiness that you could find within, with just being.
Yeah.
And if you have that, then you're golden, because then you don't need any of those other things.
Right.
So if I had one thing that I learned over this quarantine, it was that. It was like, man, if you could tap into that happiness of just being, and a lot of it is meditation and just connecting with, like, a higher source, whatever that is for you. There's a sense of happiness that you could find that's not related to anything outside of that, of that experience. And if you can call on that whenever, then you could always be happy, and then people always I used to read like, oh, happiness is a choice. And I never really understood it until, you start going in, you start feeling like, okay, well, that's part of what hypnosis is, and part of like mind work is you can take a thought and you can focus on that thought, and that thought will then create an emotion. It's not unlike acting, but for real life. And then you could also take a thought that you harbor on that's a negative thought that creates negativity and sadness. And most of us live in this loop of like, oh, that didn't go well, or that person said this, and you get stuck in this world of those thoughts, which then create negative feelings, and then you feel bad. But you can, because of you have the power to choose that, you could also choose the other, and you can turn that like a channel to something else. And when you focus on something else and put your attention on that other thing and create a positive experience and a positive thought and a positive experience inside of you, then you're in control of your happiness. Then you're like, I can conjure happiness whenever I want.
Whenever you want, whatever time of the day, man.
Yeah.
We love Peter Fetchinelli. Y'all
I'm going to show
this?
you how to do that with that little hypnosis thing at the end. I'm going to show you how to do that.
We're going to do it. Wait, so you're telling me we're going to do hypnosis and become a happier person? You should write a book. I have a question for you. We're going to hit YouTube in a bit, folks. But if you think about it, we have a question ready for you that has something to do with like, if you were to write a book, what would you name it? So keep happiness and hypnosis in the back of your head. I want to talk about something that I think made you proud and happy for many reasons, and a lot to do with your family. But if you think about your decision to work on this awareness of prostate cancer, which is near and dear to your heart because your grandfather and your uncle, when you were asked to partner with them and showcase this 30-pound loss on Instagram with your underwear, I don't know if I would even do it. I'd have to do a lot of manscaping, but it's like at some point you gotta commit, right? They say like balls to the wall, or like head down and just, do the thing, whatever it takes. But you did whatever it took, and you did a whole photo shoot. You were in your underwear. Everybody was talking about it. We all love you for it, buddy. But when you decided to do it, and you did think about your grandfather and your uncle having had prostate cancer and surviving, what did that campaign mean to you? And then how did you kind of go about making sure that you did it in the right way for you, Peter Fetchinelli?
Well, because it's such a vulnerable thing to talk about. Nobody really talks about prostate cancer. It's just like, nobody wants to talk about going to the doctor to get a prostate cancer checkup. And so we were trying to figure out, well, how do we do this? Since it's a vulnerable topic, let's do it where I'm taking a very vulnerable picture, because
Sure.
it's not easy to get in your underwear and do a photo shoot no matter what.
And then
Especially
tag
for
3
a
of your
guy
friends.
like, I don't know many guys that want to do that,
Yeah.
So for me to even do it and then have to ask other people to do it is a big ask, So to call friends and go, hey, will you support this campaign? Oh yeah, I'll support anything you want. What do you want me to do? Well, will you get in your underwear for me and shoot yourself in your underwear? No, I love you, but no. So it was vulnerable, and I was worried that other people weren't going to join in, because I thought, well, look, it's hard enough for me to do this. I don't know if other people are going to want to join into this campaign, but I was really pleasantly surprised, because I took the first step, I took the first leap, I put myself out there,
Mm-hmm.
I took those pictures, and it was definitely eye catching, because you catch it and you're like, oh, I don't shoot in my underwear normally ever. So when someone sees that picture, you grab their attention, and then you get to talk about a topic that's vulnerable and a topic that's important to me. And I think a lot of people responded well to it, and other people followed suit. There were people that I didn't even know that were coming on board, and I would put them on my stories because they were part of the campaign, and there were people of all sizes. You didn't have to have like
Sure.
a body like The Rock in order to do it. It's just about like showing your vulnerability and going, hey, we all come in all shapes and sizes. We're all coming together to support this cause. And I had one of my friends, Joel Mikely, who's not in shape. He'd be the first one to say, I'm not. He doesn't go to the gym, but he was balls to the wall, did it, and I loved him for it. And I was like,
Right.
that's incredible. I mean, he was like, he was proud to do it, and I was proud of him for it. And I was just so proud that I had so much support behind it, and that the message got out there. And if it could help, get the attention of anyone or anybody that says, yeah, I should go get my prostate checked. I should make an appointment to do that, because it's something that is, if you catch it early enough, has a great rate of being cured. And both my uncle and my dad were cured, and they're in remission. Um, so being able to just catch it early is important. And if I could get the word out and have somebody go to the doctor and get checked, and they catch it, then I did. Then even if one life gets saved, then it was worth it.
Oh, I love that. Did you find out at one point, actually, before I ask you this question, if the next campaign you do, you call The Rock and you call
Yeah.
myself, and you got
Okay.
2 more people on board with you to cast for the social media campaign that you'll do. I think it'll be much bigger and better. But did you find out during this campaign, Peter, that you were told why it's such a sensitive topic, why it's such a vulnerable topic for men?
Well, it's a topic where your prostate is like something, when you go get checked up, your doctor's got to stick a finger up your butt to get to the prostate, and like it's uncomfortable, and it's something that's it's a sexual organ. It's
Sure.
inside of the body part that's sexual. Like it's just something that guys just don't talk about. Hey, how's your prostate feeling today? Like guys just don't talk about
Talk
their
about it.
prostates, and like
Yeah.
it's like because I guess like it's like anal cancer. Like nobody talks about anal cancer. Like it's
Right.
just something that's embarrassing in some ways, or people just don't really talk about. But it's something that needs to be talked about, because people need to get checked, whether it's anal cancer or prostate cancer, or
Sure.
there's no body part that should be that embarrassing that you don't want to go get checked.
Yeah. So at this point, I think we're probably going to hit a commercial. So go ahead and play the ad here. But when you come back from commercial break, everybody, you're about to hear us talk about Peter Facinelli's life, aside from just being an actor. You know what's so interesting? I feel like a lot of times we bring Hollywood friends onto the show, and we know you to be Carlisle Cullen, right? And have played all these characters through your acting career. But I remember a point in time reading that you studied pre-law in college. And
Mhm.
that's not abnormal for actors or entertainers to have studied something like medicine or law in college. So when you were studying law, when did you decide you wanted to, especially in New York, mind
Mhm.
you, right? You have New York and LA competing to be like the entertainment capitals of the world, LA kind of winning, New York to be more of a business hub. But as you were studying throughout college, after having lived your life in New York, what made you say, yeah, screw this pre-law thing, I'm going to start acting?
Well, honestly, when I was younger, when I was like 16, I told my parents I wanted to be an actor, because I saw when I was like 13 or 14, I saw Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, and it was Paul Newman and it was Robert Redford, and they were cowboys. And I remember watching it on TV, going, "Wow, those guys look like they're having so much fun." You know, I want to do that. Whatever they're doing, that looks like fun to me. I'll do that for a living. And at 13, 14, you don't know like how hard it is or how, you think you could do anything. So a couple of years later, I said to my mom, like 15, like, "Hey, I want to be an actor when I grow up." And that was met with a lot of like laughter because like my parents are both from Italy. I'm first generation American. Like we knew nobody that was in the business, and so me telling her I wanted to be an actor was like me saying, "Hey, I want to be an astronaut, go to Mars one day." This is so foreign to her that she laughed, and then it became like a joke. And then I felt stupid for saying that I wanted to be an actor because I was like, "Oh well, I guess that's embarrassing." And so the next time they said, "Well, what do you want to be when you grow up?" I said, "A lawyer," because that seemed to get a lot of like, "Wow, a lawyer in the family." That's like saying a doctor. Like we're gonna have a lawyer in the family. That was a prestigious thing to say. But I also thought law was like, in some ways, to me, interesting in the sense that it's similar to acting in the sense that you get up in front of an audience, which is the jury, and you put on a performance, and there's a lot higher stakes in that than even acting, because someone's life is sometimes on the line there,
Sure.
when you're defending them. So I thought that could be an interesting occupation. If I can't be an actor, I still like the idea of like getting up in front of an audience, telling this story, and I thought that was something that I could do. So I never did a high school play because I was too shy. And when I got to college, I started taking pre-law classes because I thought that's what I would do. And then I took an acting 101 class just as like a kind of, it's like, an elective, like they had basket weaving,
Anything to do to
racquetball,
get the credit in, right?
acting 101, this is an elective you could take. And I was like, "Oh, I'll take an acting class. That should be fun."
Yep.
And I loved it. I loved I felt so free playing characters, and like, because I was so shy, being able to play a character, I could be anything. I could be anyone, because they weren't looking at me, they were looking at this other person. And so I started taking acting classes outside of St. John's. I went to St. John's University at the time, and I met a guy who was a manager, and he taught classes, and he would manage like Steve Buscemi, Willem Dafoe. He found those guys, and he really turned my life, because if I hadn't met him, I honestly probably would have went in the direction of acting. But he kind of really believed in me, and he said, if you want to be an actor, you should really learn the skills of acting. You should go to school and study it, and study it properly. And so he helped me transfer into NYU and study theater. And I studied theater. And my parents said, "Well, why are you transferring into NYU? I don't understand." First of all, it's twice as much money as what they were paying for St. John's.
St. John's, yeah.
And two, I was studying acting classes in NYU. It's like I was taking an acting course. And I said, "Well, my parents were from Italy, so they didn't know how things worked." And I said, "Well, in order to be a lawyer, you have to take acting classes, because you have to get up in front of an audience, and you have to be able to be free, and it'll help me be a lawyer." And so they said, okay. They didn't know. So I was blessed that they were naive enough to not know. And I went to NYU and I studied theater there. And then I started working like right out of, I didn't even finish. I had a semester left of NYU, and I just started working, and then kept working since.
As they say, the rest is history.
Yeah.
Mom and Dad, I hope you're listening in from Queens. I hope you're proud of your young man. Look how far he's come after transferring without your understanding. I always say that about parents. It's like, it's interesting how when you work in entertainment, your parents will probably never understand unless they're in the business. As an actor, as a media professional, as a director, producer, writer, whatever that might be, your parents are always so foreign to, but that's a blessing. Think about it. What if your mom was a director or like a producer? God, she would have forced you into this shit when you were 5.
Or forced you against it and said, "Don't do it." Yeah.
Right.
I always say I was blessed because my parents never were like, "No, you can't do that." You have some parents that are like, "You can't do that." They laughed at it, but they never said I couldn't do it.
Yep.
but they never said, hey, we're 100% behind you either. They just didn't know what I was doing. And then I ended up on TV one day and they were like, oh, I guess he's an actor now. Yeah.
So that's what it is.
Yeah. But they still don't get it because like, I could never impress my parents because they just don't know enough about the business. So
that might be a good
like,
thing.
Like I remember saying, I'm working with, who is I was working with Danny DeVito. And my dad goes, yeah, is he the one in My Cousin Vinny? And I was like, no, that's Joe Pesci, Dad. And then I said, hey, one time I said, I'm working with Drew Barrymore. And my dad goes, is he nice? And I was like, forget it, Dad. I'm just not going to tell you anything anymore. He'll go, John Wayne, that's an actor. Right. I'd be like, I can't work with John Wayne. He's dead. Like, what do you want me to, how do I impress you when you don't know anybody?
Yeah. That's hilarious. You know, Drew has a show on CBS now.
Oh, yeah. I heard about that.
Yeah, you should stop by.
It's been a while.
Yeah, you should totally stop by. That's hilarious. Who is he? Wait, I get it though. I mean, listen, if they're so far removed and they're foreign and they really don't, it's not that they don't care. I think they really care about you, but you as an actor, they might just be like, that's cool, right? Or just kind of hanging in the side wings like, yeah.
No, I don't think they care as much. Like, honestly, in a good way though, because like if I worked at McDonald's and I was happy, they'd be happy that I was happy. That's nice that way. I mean, sometimes it's like, I don't understand it because I remember when I got offered, NYU called me and said, hey, would you give the speech to the incoming freshmen this year? Which was a huge honor. I was like, that's pretty amazing. Like, thank you very much. I didn't even graduate at NYU. I said, it could be a short speech because I don't want to like tell people don't drop out of college. But I said, yeah, I'll give the speech, you know, the incoming freshman. That's pretty, it's a really nice honor. Thank you. And so I went home and I said to my parents, hey, so NYU called, they want me to give a speech to the incoming freshmen. And my mom goes, are they going to give you your degree? And I was like, no, I mean, I'm only 15 credits shy. So I was like, but I don't really need the degree with, you know, for what I'm doing. So I said, you want to come? And she goes, when is it? I said, it's Tuesday. She goes, I'm doing laundry that day.
She don't care, but that's a good thing. My mom's the same way. I think it's just something about it. It's like, it's not as fascinating to them. They're like, all right, go make some money, do your thing, be happy. And we're happy for you.
As long as that's actually a blessing because as long as you're happy, I'm sure your mom's happy. And as long as I'm happy, my mom's happy.
Oh man. Does your mom know that you were on Twilight?
You know, I took her to one of the premieres. It was so funny. And after the movie, she was like, that was good. Can we go home now? I was like, no, there's a whole party that we go to. What do you mean?
Yeah, I want you to meet everybody.
Yeah. She's like, I'm so tired. I was like, you have to come for like 10 minutes. I'm like begging her to come to a premiere that people have been camped out for 3 days to go to.
Tell me that doesn't keep you humble though, when you have family like that.
Definitely does.
Right? Because the world looks at Peter Fetchinelli one way, and then your family looks at you a whole nother way. We've heard it from almost everybody. I mean, anybody who works in the business of Hollywood or entertainment, it's like, yeah, your family doesn't give a shit what you do.
No, they don't.
When you come home, you're doing the damn dishes, okay, Peter? And the laundry on Tuesday.
Yeah.
I want to talk about Twilight for a second, Mr. Carlisle Cullen. There's been a lot of rumors. There's a lot of interest, I'll tell you that much, in the marketplace. I did some research on this a little bit before we chatted, and people are curious to see if there's going to be some type of reincarnation. I would say reboot, but reincarnation almost makes sense of Twilight. Has there been talks about it? Can you give us any intel as to what
I keep trying to get Twilight on Ice off the ground, but nobody's wants to. No, I honestly, I don't think if they made another Twilight, I don't know how they would do it with us because vampires aren't supposed to age. So we've all aged. And even though I like to think I still look, 10 years younger than I do.
You look 10 years younger, Peter.
Maybe with some CGI makeup. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if Kristen and Rob would still play 18. So it's tricky that way. If they did some kind of reboot, it would I'm assuming be with different actors. Maybe I could come in and do a cameo as Carlisle with the makeup and hair.
I was thinking that, like, okay, so makeup and hair shouldn't that take away 10 years if you think about it? Because you guys were almost like, I remember seeing you on TV and I was
Yeah,
like,
I mean, the good thing is I had on this blonde wig and like, the thick makeup, so maybe I could get away with it. But I don't know. No one's ever discussed it. No one's ever talked about it. I feel like everyone's gone. I mean, Rob Pattinson's Batman now, so I don't think he'd want to come back and play that character. But I mean, I love that Carlisle Cullen. If they called me, I would do it. I mean, it'd be fun to revisit that role. Um, yeah, but I mean, at one time this past year over quarantine, we were all trying to get together for like some sort of Twilight reunion Zoom thing,
mhm.
so we could like cheer people up. But it was hard to get everybody's schedules together, so it kind of fell apart. But I love all those castmates. They're all like family to me.
I love that. I remember seeing one time that you'd mentioned when you had to give up Carlisle Cullen at some point, not give him up, but kind of put him to rest as the movie was coming to a close or the series was. What was that like? I feel like when people act, you really get invested into the character if you think about it. Like
Yeah.
I'm not I mean, trust me, I'm invested in Justin Crawford as the host of the show, but it's nothing like Peter to a Carlisle.
Mm. Well, it's just like that with every character I play. Like you put a lot of yourself into that character, and then you're not going to play that character anymore. And there's a part of you that mourns the loss of that character. It's like it usually takes me a couple of days, or maybe sometimes a week, to like go through the process of like the sadness of losing like a friend that you won't,
Mm,
with Carlisle. I mean, I played him for several years, so
mm.
that's a person that was a part of me for several years. Same thing with Coop from Nurse Jackie. I mean, I played
Oh
him
yeah.
for 6 or 7 years, and like I miss that character. I miss that guy. He was fun to play. So, but then you get that person out of your space and system, and then you play somebody else, and you conjure up somebody else, and then you build some other character, and that one comes into existence, and then you have to say goodbye to him. So there's all
Mm.
these parts of yourself that you explore and then you put away, and then you explore and then you put away, and then you explore something else and you put it away. And the putting away part is sad.
What about that though has kind of kept you excited about acting? On the other side of that, right? I mean, you mentioned
Yeah.
earlier that like finding the inner happiness, that's Peter Facinelli.
Yeah.
These characters are just part of the job. And at some point, of course, like every good thing comes to an end. I've always been an advocate for that. But when you look at why it keeps you excited about finding maybe the next gig or maybe reviving Carlisle Cullen at some point,
Mhm.
what keeps you excited about it?
Well, I think just that, like being able to create something new, and it's always scary because you create this new character, and then the first couple of days you're like, is this gonna work?
Yeah.
And that fear also kind of drives you too. A lot of people think fear is a bad thing, but I think fear could be a good thing. I think if fear can be a motivator, it could drive you. There's a subtleness between fear and excitement. you
Mm.
know if people ask me, do you get nervous before a take or before a job, before starting a job, first day, and I say, if I'm not feeling nervous, then I shouldn't have taken this job. Because if you're sitting there going, this is easy, and I'm not putting anything on the line here, and your stakes aren't high, then I don't feel like I'm invested. So that nervousness and that fear also
Mm.
becomes an excitement, which becomes a passion, which becomes a drive.
Bada boom, bada bing. Fear, passion, drive. Wait, I wanted to ask you about insecurities really quickly. Could you go? I mean, listen, we've hit the hour mark, buddy. So if you got another call,
Man, I mean, I was having such a blast. I didn't even realize. That's a good thing. Time flies when you're having
I'm
fun,
on.
right?
Listen. Time flies, buddy. But if you have to jump, then I'm not going
No,
until you
I'm
jump ship.
I'm I'm good. I'm good
I'm
if you're
good
good.
too. All right. You guys heard it here first, folks. We're gonna stay on for just a minute. And listen, we say men of the hour, and then some people have been on for 42 minutes, some people have been on for 2 hours. Who the
Yeah.
hell cares, right? You're coined the man of the hour for a reason. It's because we've looked at Peter Fetchinelli for so long, and we just admire the hell out of you, man. So I got to
Oh,
ask you
thank
about
you.
insecurities
Mhm.
because Something I remember asking our team for a little while was like, what do people fear the most? And a lot of it's like not accomplishing what they feel like they were afraid of. And a lot of times that leads to this bigger picture idea of insecurity, things that think, I feel like when you're insecure to something, of course you're fearful of it, but you're also uncertain of how that insecurity plays into your day to day, your professional career, your love life, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So if you had to think of your biggest insecurity that you've overcome, how did you overcome it? And then ultimately, I mean, if it's still around, all of us have insecurities now that we're still working through. If that's the
Yeah.
case, what's that?
I mean, the biggest insecurity I had was just being shy. I mean, I was so shy in high school that it was painfully shy. Like I couldn't even get in the lunch line because I was afraid that I would like drop something or like make a fool out of myself, and the whole cafeteria would like look at me. I didn't want to be looked at all. So it's interesting that I became an actor where you're put in front of everybody to like look at. But
Huh.
and even in high school, like because I didn't eat on the lunch line, I didn't go through the lunch line for the first 3 years of high school. Uh, I would go, there was a little old lady that sold pretzels in the back on the other side of the cafeteria. And I would go grab a pretzel and an orange juice and sit down before anybody else because I didn't want anybody, seeing me. And then, everybody else would kind of fill the tables. But I was like on the opposite side. So I ate pretzels and orange juice for like 3 years in high school because I was so painfully shy. That was like what I ate for lunch. Really skinny in high school. But being an actor, like studying acting, actually helped me get over that shyness because, like I explained before, like when I was playing these characters, I could explore different parts of myself, and I didn't feel like people were looking at me; they were looking at these characters, so I could dial things up and dial things down, and
Mm.
and be as free as I wanted to be, without being looked at. So it helped me overcome those insecurities. Uh, and as you get older, I feel like I've gotten less insecurities because you just stop caring so much about, like I said, trying to impress other people or trying to, because you can never ever get inside someone's head and get figure out what they're going to like about you or try to impress them or try to get them to like you. So I find that instead of being insecure about all that,
Mm.
you're just yourself. Then what they think about you is none of your business. You know what I mean?
Right.
Really. I remember telling my daughters this a long time ago. I said, people get up in the morning and they all comb their hair and they brush their teeth and they get dressed and they're doing all of that for you. So you don't have to be insecure because people are going out of their way to try, and everyone's so worried about themselves that no one's sitting there going, oh, looks bad, or they're all worried
Mm.
about what you're thinking of them. Most people are always thinking, well, what are they thinking of me? And what are they? So most of the people
Mm.
are insecure and putting themselves out there for other people. So you don't have to be insecure because, if like in quarantine, if you didn't have to see anybody, you're in sweatpants most of the day and
Yeah.
you're just like, hanging out and you're being yourself. So it's like, if you can carry that around where you just be like, look, I'll be myself and be comfortable. Uh, and that's what's important, I think, so I think you get less insecure as you get older is what I'm saying. You just stop
Mm.
caring as much what other people think. And it's still like, when you're putting yourself out there as an actor or performer, you still worry like, well, are people going to like this movie that I direct,
Mm.
or are people going to like, but you're not focused on it day to day. When I was sitting there shooting, I wasn't like, oh, the audience is going to like this scene because of this, or you're creating this thing for yourself and
Mm-hmm.
for, the actors. And then when you put it all together, then you're hoping, okay, I hope the audience likes this piece of art, and
Mm.
that's how it is. But once you start spending every day going, well, I'm doing this so that somebody else might like it, or
Mm.
I'm doing this, I'm dressing this way because I want to impress somebody, or I'm making this because I'm trying to win over these people, you'll go mad and you'll fail all the time because
Mm-hmm.
you can't ever know what those other people's expectations of you are.
I always used to think that at some point you have to realize that, and this is for the masses, obviously not for guys like you and I and anybody listening to this. I'm sure you're not this way either, but it's like you start thinking to yourself, if you can understand that everybody is selfish and everybody is lonely,
Mhm.
you got something there.
Yeah, like everybody's going through what you're feeling too, you know. So when you feel insecure, when you're meeting somebody, they're feeling that insecurity too. It's a lot easier to just drop both of those insecurities, just connect with somebody.
Right.
You know?
100%. 100%.
Mhm.
You got anything else coming up, buddy? I wanted to leave some room at the end of the show to talk about. Listen, Vanished was fantastic. I could only imagine what it was like to like write your own I was gonna say screenplay, and then direct it, man, and see that come to life. Congratulations on it. But I mean, you mentioned guitar playing and some other, personal things you wanted to do. What's coming up for Peter Fetchinelli?
Well, hopefully I'll get to my guitar, and hopefully I'll get to my piano lessons, and hopefully I'll get to my Spanish lessons. But as far as career-wise, I just produced a movie called The Unbreakable Boy. I think I mentioned that a little bit.
Oh yeah.
That's starring Zach Levi. That comes out later this year. Hopefully theaters will be open because I want that to, get a nice theatrical release. And then it should. And then I have a movie called The Ravine that's coming out in April, I think, on Good Friday,
Mm,
that I was in with Eric Dane. And there's a couple of projects that I'm circling now. I'm just reading some things,
mm.
trying to figure out what I want to do next. There's a movie that I wrote that I want to direct later this year. Um, and then short term, I'm trying to figure out what I want to do acting wise in the next month or two. So I'm just reading stuff. But the business is starting to pick up. Like
Yep.
more stuff's getting made, and there's more projects out there. So it gets to a point where you want to make sure that you're working on not just working for work's sake, but working on things that you want to work on and are passionate about and excited about. So I guess I'm being selective and a little
Mm.
more picky right now. And when I find the right thing, I'll know and I'll bring it to you guys. But in the meantime, The Unbreakable Boys coming out. Catch The Vanished if you haven't yet. It's on Netflix. And then The Ravine in April.
Three things. You're a triple hitter, man. I just hope that you'll continue. You got to promise me you'll meditate and
I'm gonna do
focus.
this little thing with you. We got
So
1 minute to do it,
let's
right?
do it. Well, I have a final question for you that I'm actually switching up. We'll do this, and I got one more question for you. Then we'll close out the podcast. Jump over to YouTube.
Awesome, cool. All right, so if you're listening out there, you can do it along with us, okay? So I want you to close your eyes, okay? Just take a deep breath in, let it out, and take one more deep breath in. Let it out, counting to 5. That's it. Just slow your breath down. Now, what I want you to do is just focus on your heart area. Okay. Think about your heart as you're breathing. Continue breathing in and out, nice and slow. And as you're thinking about your heart area, I just want you to imagine a white light around your heart. Focus in on that white light and just let it grow inside you with each breath. Focus on that light and let it just take over your whole body. Imagine your whole body just being lit up with this bright, bright light. And as you're breathing in and out and focusing on that light, I want you to make a sincere attempt. Just think of something in your life where you feel grateful or gratitude or peace. It could be a person, it could be with a person, it could be with a certain place that you love, it could be with a pet. Something that makes you feel good, brings you peace, and that you're grateful for it. Maybe it's sitting on a beach somewhere, or maybe you like the snow, it could be with someone you love. And when you have that locked in, that experience, and you're thinking about that, just focus now on the feeling that you get when you think about this. And as you're feeling this feeling, let it grow inside you like that bright light. Let it radiate all over. Let that feeling grow inside you. Concentrate on that feeling. Double it. Just double it again. Double the feeling. Just keep going. Double that feeling. Double it. Let it sit inside you and double it. And let it grow. Double that feeling again. Just let it grow even more now. Fill up the whole room with that feeling. And then when you're ready, you can open your eyes and come back to the room.
Bro, I'm not kidding. So not only am I thinking about a white light, but like I started thinking about my mom, my dad, and my brother and our trip back to Hawaii. And when you said double up, I was like, wait, that's life, right? Finding something inside you to focus on and stop thinking about all the other bullshit that's happening, right? Man, you heard it first. Here we go. We just did a small, what would you call that? That was like a semi-hypnosis or what?
Yeah, it was semi. It was more of a guided meditation, but it's a little bit of hypnosis because it deals with breathing. But what the most important thing out of that is it just shows you how before when I said you could choose happiness, right?
Yeah.
You can go to any time during the day. You could sit down, close your eyes. That took literally less than 2 minutes to think about something that you're grateful for, that gives you peace, and then focus on that feeling and just let it grow. Let it grow inside you and focus on that feeling. Let it grow and just take up the whole room and let it grow until it just surrounds you and wraps you in this energy. And that feeling can stay with you all day if you practice that enough. And it's like you can do that, or you can think about the guy who cut you off in traffic and how you want to kill him, and like the bad phone call you got, and like that's what we're doing most of the time, right? We're thinking about these negative things that like spiral us out, and we can't stop thinking about those things, and we feel bad. So you have the power to take that and just change the channel into this other thing that's going to fill you with positivity and light and happiness. And it's that simple. It's that simple.
You said the guy that was cutting you off. I was like, that's the New Yorker. And you're thinking about the person that's going to piss you off from driving these stupid streets.
Yeah.
Wait, lucky for you, it's the 401 and the other lanes now, right?
Yeah.
The highway.
Yeah, well, I don't do much driving nowadays because I'm stuck in quarantine. So,
oh, bro, listen, you're stuck in quarantine for good reason.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you a question about what you thought about your legacy in light of others. I would say that's not going to work because you just lit us up, not only by that guided meditation, but by the entire interview we just did together. So instead, my final question for you, Peter, Mr. Fetchinelli, is to understand what you would tell your younger self in high school for those 3 years that you were eating pretzels and orange juice, getting skinny as hell, thinking about the fact that you didn't want to be really noticed by anybody. And then indefinitely, because you chased what you loved, you switched your careers in college, you thought about how you were going to influence people in a better way as an actor. Now, I mean, listen, you're a face of Hollywood. So when you look back to the high school Peter, what are a couple of the things you would tell him?
Well, I think along the lines of what we talked about before, that you don't have to be so insecure. Have a fucking burger, man. enjoy high school and stop worrying about what other people think about you, because most of them are worried about what you're thinking about them. So if those people, like you said, are all worried about, what you think about them, and you're worried about what they're thinking about you, and then you're sitting there being insecure. So just have a burger, enjoy your time in high school. Life is short, and enjoy every day of it. There's a lot of time got wasted with me being so shy and not being able to connect with people and not being able to, be like secure enough to even get in line to have a burger. So yeah, just life's short, don't waste it.
I'm going to shed a tear while everybody else goes and grabs a burger with that fascinating advice from Peter Fetchinelli. You can find him anywhere on social. If you just type in Peter Fetchinelli, Facinelli, Fetchinelli. Gosh, those Italian names, man. You got It's that first generation last name for you. You can find him anywhere. We're going to jump over to YouTube. We're going to end the podcast right now. Here comes the introduction. We'll see you guys later. Continue building the best version of yourself, my friends. And thank you for listening. And right now, here we are on the Men of the Hour podcast YouTube channel with Peter Fetchinelli. We're going to play a game of what I like to call questions of the hour. Everything we didn't get to ask you on the podcast in that very hour, my friend. That's where we get deep as shit. Okay. That's where we start asking you questions about your life. We found so many fascinating details about who Peter Fetchinelli was, is, and will be. But right now, I want to ask you 20 quick questions and get the quickest answer that comes to your mind. Peter, are you ready? They came in from our fans and our team. I think you'll be fascinated by this one.
I think most people are going to be fascinated with what comes out of my mouth because I don't know what's going to happen right now.
Where was the last place you went outside of your home?
Last place, what do you mean outside? Just today?
Today or the whole pandemic? Sounds like you haven't been out of the house in a while.
Oh, actually today I went to get my brain scanned.
Oh my God. See that? Hey, but by the way, if you want to go listen to the podcast, we did a guided meditation with this fellow. So he knows a lot about the brain. Is there a destination you have in mind for a vacation soon?
I'd like to go to Mexico.
Ooh, me too. Take me with you, dude. Pay for the whole trip. When I say water, what comes to mind?
A river.
What is the first thing you think of when you get up usually?
How's my Bitcoins doing?
Ooh, Mr. Investor over here. I love that. What's the last song that you listened to?
Johnny Cash. It was Folsom Prison Blues because I'm playing it on the guitar right now.
Nice. Has hobbies. Do you have any rituals during the day that similar to like a meditation?
Yeah, I actually like to walk on the treadmill and listen to podcasts. I'll probably listen to yours, or I listen to books, or I listen to meditations. So I try to, because I don't love running, I try to get my mind off the running by doing various things, either by learning something new or reading a book or listening to podcasts. So if you're out there, you could listen to this podcast or this YouTube channel and run on your treadmill.
You know why you're not running? You just lost 30 pounds. You're tired of losing that shit. You got to keep what's on you, man. If you had a favorite chewing gum, Peter, what would that be? Mine's Trident Original.
I like the little, I like Razzles. Remember Razzles?
Oh, nice, man. A lot of people don't like gum is why I asked.
They're like hard candy and then they turn into gum.
Nice.
Yeah.
Similar to like a Mentos, I guess now, right?
Yeah.
Right. So many of them.
But they're powdery. And when they're not like Mentos where they're chewy like that, they're almost like chalk that turns into gum. I don't know. I grew up with them, so like they're kind of fun.
That's the New Yorker. I'm gonna recommend Trident Original. I would show you if I have it. I actually have one right here. Oh, it just fell off the table. Never mind.
I could also go very simple to old school bazookas. Remember bazookas?
Stop. Bazooka, Zuka, bubblegum. Bazooka, Zuka, bubblegum.
You get the bubblegum, you get your comic strip.
Yes.
You get a little comic in there.
Oh man. If you could write a book tomorrow, Peter, what would the title be and why?
Fatchy happiness. How to be happy in life.
Oh, I love that. Are you and I going to be best friends after this interview?
I would love that.
Oh,
yes.
I would love that, dude. Steak or fish?
Ooh, I fish. Although I do like a steak once in a while.
Yeah, same. But fish is usually the go-to, right? Do you have one major pet peeve?
Pet peeve. I don't love like pet peeves. I don't love styrofoam containers in the refrigerator. You know how sometimes people like order food and then they're in the refrigerator and then they just put them in the styrofoam and then like they stink up the whole refrigerator? That's a pet peeve.
Mine's glitter. Do you like glitter?
I don't mind it. Although it does, you're right, it does get everywhere and then you end up having it for days. Nails on chalkboard, definitely not fun.
Or like fork to a plate. All right, we're gonna end that one. Yeah. Do you favorite focus point during a workout? Focus area of your body?
I would say abs, chest, arms.
Same. Same. Have you read a good book lately? What was the book?
Oh man, so many books that I read, just mostly to do with like mind
He's
stuff.
all about the mind, people, the brain, the
I
mind, the
love mind
meditation.
stuff. There's a cool NLP book that I'm
Mm.
reading, neurolinguistics programming. Again, it's just stuff to help mess with your mind, and like you got to read that stuff to understand. But it's pretty cool. Fascinated with mind stuff.
Go type in NLP. What did Peter Fetchinelli read? And then you'll find it somehow. If we went to dinner tonight as best friends, what would you get for dessert?
Oh, that's a good question. Um, right now, oh, you know what I love? I'm not a big dessert person, but what I love is when you go to a restaurant and they have those molten lava chocolate cakes. And
Yes.
when you kind of put the fork in,
Like
the
it's ridged around
chocolate
the
kind of
sides.
oozes out. Those are always good.
Solid. And then we'll even layer it with an extra layer of chocolate, like to do it at the McDonald's. If you had those ice cream cones from McDonald's that are dipped in the chocolate, we'll layer it with that.
Well, let's put a little scoop of vanilla ice cream on the side of the plate too, then.
Vanilla gelato, bro. We'll actually put it in the inside of the lava cake.
Okay. Sounds good
Oh,
to me.
dude, wait, we're gonna go out to
Now
dinner
my
after
mouth's
this.
watering.
Here
See?
we go. Right, same. We talked about you working out and writing a book. Now
Yeah,
we're gonna
I
have to go
just
to dinner.
gained 30 pounds just by eating all that. My vision.
After playing Carlisle Cullen, do you think about what life could be like as a vampire? And if so, what would that life look like?
I like to think about living forever. I mean, I think that would be cool to have all the time in the world. To that, I mean, I think it would look a lot like they did in the movies. It'd just be playing piano all night and learning, reading books all night, and like soaking up everything, traveling, and
Yep.
not aging, not getting older, not getting sick. You know, it has their benefits. I mean, you got to eat people,
You're
but
you're you're already life. Listen, Peter, I know you say you're getting old, man, but listen, you look like you did, but 20, 30 years ago, so you're all good. What's your favorite go-to alcoholic beverage?
alcohol. I like an old fashioned.
Ooh,
An
same,
old
especially when
fashioned
you get
kind
it
of guy.
smoky when it comes off, when they take the rim
Mhm.
off and it smokes around.
Nice.
There's one for you. What's your favorite season of the year?
I love summertime. I love summer.
Same. Fall. Come
Mhm.
on. Fall's a little,
Fall's
well, it depends on where
good.
you're at.
I mean, I like fall. I like spring, but there's nothing like just
Going to the
summer,
beach.
going to the beach, going outside. It's sunny all the time, and yeah, I like summer.
I'm with you, man. What animal do you think you would be in your afterlife? After being
Hmm.
a vampire, of course.
Ooh, I'd like to say, uh, what are those sled dogs? I like those sled dogs.
Huskies, man.
Husky, husky.
You'd be the one off of Snow Dogs that got your
Yeah,
ear bit off. You remember
yeah.
that?
No. Oh yeah.
The Disney movie.
Yeah. I like huskies. I
Oh,
used to
dude.
have one.
Oh, they're so pretty. Blue
Yeah.
eyes and all, right? Oh, man, you get everything with the husky. Who do you keep in touch with the most out of the entire Twilight family?
I mean, all of them really. Every once in a while, they're all different. So like sometimes I'll talk to Kellen on text. Sometimes I'll talk to Nikki. Sometimes I'll talk to Ashley. I see them all kind of sporadically. Rob sometimes. The ones I haven't seen as much is probably Kristen. I haven't seen as much.
Mm,
She's been pretty busy, and then and Jackson. Although I love both of them, they've just been kind of doing their thing.
mm.
But you know what's cool about these guys that I worked with? All of them, honestly, are it's like the test of family. When you haven't seen, sometimes you'll go like months or years without seeing certain relatives, and when you see them, it's like you saw them yesterday.
Oh,
There's no like awkwardness. It's just like, and that's how I always feel when I see any of those cast members. Like they'll always
yeah.
be like family to me.
Oh, that makes me want to join the Twilight family. If you guys do a reboot, I want to come in as an extra cast member, just sit in the corner of one of those classrooms.
Sounds good. You're in.
I love it, Peter. Final question for you, buddy. What are you going to do right after this interview? If you had to think of anything.
What am I going to do after this interview? what was it? I was actually going to play a little guitar. I was going to pick it up today.
Oh, you said guitar twice on our interview and twice on here, dude. I think you got to go play the guitar.
Yeah. Every time I think about it, I'm like, I got to go play it a little because I'm not great at it. I only started playing a couple of years ago, so I got a lot of catching up to do.
Yeah.
But I have fun playing it, but I want to do it more so I get better quicker.
I love it. I'm going to go let you play the guitar. Thank you for playing Questions of the Hour with us, Peter Fetchinelli, after we just did an hour and some change. I think we've hopefully hit the longest amount on our podcast. So thank you for your time. Thank you for being today's man of the hour, buddy. And man, we're going to go to dinner. Sounds like we're going to get a drink of an old fashioned. We're going to have some fish, a dessert lava cake. Dude, I'm stoked.
And then I'm going to listen to this podcast on the treadmill. It's going to be great.
And I'm going to run my ass to try to catch up with you on that 30 pounds you lost during quarantine, buddy.
Well, you look pretty fit, so I think you'll be all right.
Oh my gosh, you're making me blush, buddy. Thank you so much again for joining the Men of the Hour podcast.
Well, thanks for having me, man. It was a pleasure.